Today this is an interactive picture show butchering its way to your image providing thingy-majiggy. Today we will be looking at Chivalry 2 Medieval Warfare Beta, which finally allows people like me who had months of experience on the game to share their thoughts on Chivalry 2 alongside some footage. Quickly going over what Chivalry 2 is, it is a medieval multiplayer epic set after the events of the first game of a fictional story of where the Mason Order rebelled against Agatha, which were led by King Mulric and successfully won and taken power of the land. So in Chivalry 2, Agatha has risen back to take back its land from the traitors, led by Aragon II against the Masons and their old king. First of all, you will see a lot of Mason gameplay.
Smash that dirty red scum! Kick him in the teeth where it hurts!
Since I prefer the Mason as my favorite faction. Now that we got that out of the way, let's talk about the actual game, shall we? Booting up into the game, you'll be introduced to a fancy menu screen which mimics the first game's lone soldier standing and looking at the chaos occurring around them. This is followed by a nice simple UI, and in options you will be getting a way full of nice settings and tweaks to make the game run closer to your preferences, like max corps or despawn times to show the history of the carnage that occurred, or for example turning down the gore so little Jim can play the game. 2 game modes are currently available, being Team Objective and Team Deathmatch. Having more plans for the release, Team Objective is a standout mode for Chivalry, as this is what Torn Banner does best, as the experience is thrilling and immersive, actually resembling those big blockbusters you watched. Even after Mordor, Chivalry 1 is still attracting players back to its game due to being the amazing design of the levels and atmosphere, which Chivalry 2 has completely recaptured, but with a lot more personality, with additions of more voice lines, events, and combat mechanics that shift this game to a more Monty Python feel of comedy, or outright being a parody of it. This personality adds a lot on top of a more arcadey feel of the game, as this isn't a medieval combat simulator, but more of a big epic movie battles combat experience, where you can have as much fun as you want even if you're crap at the game. Chivalry 2 takes a right turn from the roots of Mortal, keeping a much arcadey feel while improving on it drastically to fix majority of the issues that plagued the first game. You will rarely or never see someone spinning on the battlefield and winning, or you will never see reverse attacks, which were a big issue. In this, you will not find yourself in impossible drag situations against a player who's dedicated his entire life to the game, similarly to how the last medieval slasher, Mortal, has it going. This really helps new players to get into the game and keep it at a casual level, but that doesn't mean this game has combat that is not competitive. No! Completely the opposite. The combat has plenty of depth and ironically a lot more than Mortal. It has the standard slashes, overheads, thrusts, reposes and counters and kicks, but it adds a few more mechanics on top of this by adding heavy variants of attacks. Jabbing for stunning players mid-swing. Mind that only kicks can stun blocks in this game. You have special attacks which are hard to pull off but pay off well with a heap of damage, and some sprinting or charging attacks to surprise the enemy. The combat is excellently summarized in the Chivalry 2 combat guide on Torn Banner's channel, which will be linked in the description, which I highly recommend watching after this video if you haven't already. Overall, the combat brings quite intense duels and group fights, leading to many unspoken but visible rivalries between well-known Civ 2 players when they meet each other on the field. Touching on the hold block topic, which is quite a debate due to the unorthodox method due to these slashers. Many players who've played Chivalry 1 or Mordhau seem not to be embracing the block mechanic and call for it to be reversed, but personally it works extremely well once you understand how the game mechanics work, which many first-time players do not understand if coming straight from Shiv 1 and especially Mord. You can use heavy attacks, feints, kicks, specials to break through these blocks. A lot of individuals from the long time I played with during the beta days, alpha days, sorry, testing, have actually changed their minds on it and embraced it. I personally, and that I believe a lot of other players also, like the direction Chivalry 2 went, as it makes it worthwhile to get it, as it's different and much more enjoyable compared to the tap method that the other games have, as it gives players who have a lower skill level to actually compete and not be completely stumped, but that doesn't mean it's hard to get through a block. I've had zero issues with people blocking, and I've personally died a lot when blocking from being kicked, and I recommend treating Chivalry 2 as its own game rather than what route Mordhau took. There are 4 main classes on both teams, similarly to the first game, but this time there are subclasses for each one which carries their own weaponry and abilities. Searchers, the horn to heal teammates around you quickly, or to get a fire bomb. Each of the 4 classes are distinct. For each scenario or situation you find yourself in battle, like the footman who works better on the defense with his pole arms, or the knight who is very adaptable to most situations.
Crush the pretty little whiners. It is a good day to die! Crush the pretty little whiners.
Alongside the basic weaponry, you also get to pick up anything you want off the ground and use it against the enemy like a chicken. Or you can try to use siege equipment like the ballista or catapult.
Shit's broken.
Kill them!
That was way too perfect.
Map design is brilliant, with these long, big maps that funnel players into these walls of clashing metal and gushing red blood that constantly rushes above everyone's heads. Along with the brilliant sound design it has, you can really feel like a heavy metal knight butchering the foe. Though I miss the old announcer from the first game, which always sounded like he was shouting from the battlements. But I don't have that much issue with the Deadliest Warrior style, which I do like. Now, to my big issue with the game, which are more personal, but I feel like a lot could relate to it too. Borders! Those goddamn borders! I absolutely hate them! I know that they were put in the game to push players into the fun zone and keep fighting in the big groups, but really, do we need that? It really limits the freedom and scenarios that can occur, while also breaking that suspension of disbelief with slapping you in the face with this text saying, 3, 2, 1, you're gonna be executed. Why? Why? Oh, one, you try to chase an archer that's killing you constantly, but there is a border there. that says, oh no, you're gonna be executed and then die due to turning your back to get back into the battle zone by an archer bolt to your skull. Chivalry 1 worked perfectly fine without borders. At the maximum, it just presented you an option to forward spawn when objective moved on. So you could pick whether you wanted to go to the objective or have a fun final last stand or an epic attack from the rear and have fun in your own way. But you can't here. Why can't I go to do my own thing for a little bit and then return to the objective when I finish having my own fun? I will eventually get sick of going to the same place constantly, so it's nice to have an occasion to wander off and do your own thing. I personally hate this method of not trusting all your players with the objective-based game modes. Chivalry 1, you always had plenty of individuals on the point, while occasionally some dude is rambling and having his fun, enjoying the game the way he wants for a little bit. Little rant about borders, since I absolutely despise them. Well, overall, Chivalry 2 is looking forward to becoming one of the best games of this year, of 2021, and I will be planning to buy this as soon as I can. I hope I gave you a good insight on Chivalry 2, for this has been the interactive picture show, tuning out knowing you are satisfied with your new knowledge before you purchase or pre-order. Good day to thee.
A co jest? Jesteś O, tutaj jesteś.
No... Czy zamku? O, tu jest.
Chcesz bronić ciebie. A, nie przejść i możesz tak zatopić za mnie. No tak.
A. Ej. O. O. Mogę podpalić? Mogę, dobra już. O, strzeli.
O nie, okej. Już nie będziesz coś za tobą, nie?
W głowę dostałem.